So Elden Ring, one of the biggest success stories in the past decade in video game industry, over 30 million copies sold, game of the year, so it's no surprise that at some point somebody will try to make an adaptation, especially after Hollywood kinda figured out how to adapt video games with Arcane and The Last of Us Season 1, Season 2 is a bit debatable about this. But what I think surprised a lot of people is that the studio that actually took care of this is not some big studio like Universal or I don't know, Disney or something like this. It's actually A24, which is more known about its indie movies, with the biggest budget ever is like $50 million. That's it, for most Hollywood movies this is a starting budget or a salary of the biggest star. But I actually think this is one of those decisions and one of those choices that made almost every fan happy out there, because Elden Ring, while it's a big, even huge, immersive, visually breathtaking world, it still has a certain vibe, a feel that if you are chasing only the visual aspects like many big studios do right now, you will fail. One of the reasons why it's so successful is because it makes you feel something that most of the games don't make you feel, and it's been a part of this simultaneously magical, dark, but very realistic world with all of its overpowered magics and everything else. Being in a game, experiencing failure after failure after failure, getting better, and then experiencing finally some success. Researching this world, feeling it, touching it, makes you feel like you are the character in the world. Now in 2025 or 2026 or 2027, whatever the movie is gonna come out, you are not gonna be able to achieve this with just visual graphic aspect. It's not working anymore. Nobody's gonna be surprised with visual effects. I mean, ask yourself, when was the last time you got out of the cinema and somebody told you, wow, this movie had such an amazing, visual effects or graphics? Nobody talks like that anymore because nobody is surprised by that anymore. It's a standard. So you need to add something more. You need to add subcontext. You need to add deep meanings. You need to add this certain, as I said already, vibe and feel to this world that will make it feel real while it's still magical and fantastical. Now, I wouldn't call myself an expert in the game, because as you can see on Elden Ring, I kinda played only 149 hours, which is still impressive in my opinion, but compared to people that play 2,000 or 3,000 hours, it's absolutely nothing. But I think the choice to make Alex Garland as a director of this movie is a solid one. First of all, this is not his first work with A24, this is gonna be already his fourth movie. Well, I kinda made a mistake here. He made already 4 movies and Elden Ring is gonna be the 5th one. He already worked on Ex Machina, which I think is the best movie in his track record. He already worked on Civil War, which was the biggest budgeted movie from A24, which means they do trust this guy a lot. If they are allowing him to handle those kind of a big budgeted projects, it means they trust this guy with all they have. And probably Elden Ring is gonna be their biggest project ever. As I told you, over 30 million copies sold. You gonna have a financial success with this movie adaptation. A lot of people are gonna check this out, and if it's gonna be good, a word to mouth is gonna make its job, and it's gonna be one of the most successful movies ever. Once again, it has to be good for it to happen, but if it will be, yeah, expect a lot of cha-ching there. But it's also very important to keep in mind a very small detail that can be very important, which is it can all be a sort of a ruse. Since Alex Garland, as I told you, one of those directors that works a lot with A24 and they know him, they trust him, they have a connection, it can be just a decision to fill a spot, maybe until they will find somebody bigger or better. I don't know, once again, it's a very subjective topic there, but it's still in pre-production, it's still in its diapers, and a lot of times if a project is not moving forward, it will be scrapped. So sometimes you need just to fill in some seats, and we have seen many times in Hollywood that somebody starts the project and then they're being dropped and they're being replaced. And a lot of times it's not because, the director has different commitments or something like this. Sometimes it's just because you need to move the project forward, so you fill some seats in order to move the process, in the right direction. just to create the feeling that everything is moving forward. Now, I hope it's not the case because, as I told you, Alex Garland, I think, will make a good job with it because, once again, Elden Ring cannot be a straight adaptation of the video game. It's a very free video game. You can do a lot of things and you can simultaneously miss a lot of things. So it has to be a straightforward story about a hero or some sort, or a team of heroes, whatever it's gonna be. It's gonna be hopefully interesting. But in my opinion, it cannot be an almost one-to-one adaptations like The Last of Us Season 1, or it cannot be also like Arcane, which is very loosely based on League of Legends. It's supposed to be somewhere in the middle. It's supposed to have a very independent story, but it's also supposed to touch a lot of recognizable lore elements from the video game, because if you don't know, and I need to remind you, it was worked by also George R.R. Martin, who added a lot to this video game, and it's one of the most interesting lores in video games that we ever experienced. If you don't believe me, check the YouTube videos, there was a lot of them, and it's a very interesting lore. But once again, in a video game, if you are not researching the lore, it's not spoon-fed to you. You have to be willing to learn about this world, and it's supposed to be somehow translated into the movie. Once again, it's not supposed to be something that it's spoon-fed to you like, like in regular movies. It has to be special like the video game. And of course, I want to finish just to remind you, it's in pre-production. Alex Garland is a screenwriter. Most of his works are actually being a writer other than director. He's just directed only 6 movies so far, averaging about 7, something like this in IMDb. And yeah, he's a good director. He's not one of the greatest. Maybe he will be one day, but so far he's obviously not Christopher Nolan or Tarantino or something like this. Still, I do have trust in him in this project, and I really hope this project is going to be completed and see the light of day. But once again, just to remind you, it's still in pre-production. The script is either haven't been started yet or still in very early drafts. So yeah, once again, George R. R. Martin is doing everything else but to finish the Winds of Winter. This is a running joke, and I had to answer it in my video, otherwise, I mean, what am I even doing here? Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Let me know what you think about Alex Garland as a director of Elden Ring. Is this something that you're happy about or sad about? I would love to hear your reasoning. Thank you so much for watching. I want to thank everybody who supports me on Patreon and on YouTube. Your financial support is what makes this channel possible. Your donations, and I hope they are coming from the heart and you're not stretching yourself. It's after you finished everything else, after you donated to your favorite charity, to help everybody else in your family and yourself, and you spent everything on your vacations and everything else, and then you have like $2 and you're thinking, oh, this guy, I kind of like this video, I want to support him, only then do this. But while you're doing this, it's also like simultaneously giving me a lot of motivation, because this is the loudest applauses that a YouTuber can get, because we don't see our audience, and simultaneously it's also giving me a sort of responsibility. Like, you put in a lot of trust in me. You're saying to me, look dude, I trust that you're gonna keep getting better and you keep doing better. So once again, if somebody is giving me that kind of a trust, I will do whatever I can to never disappoint. So thank you so much for your support, and as usual, I hope I'm gonna see you in the next one. Meanwhile, bye.